Have you ever stopped to think about what your life will look like when you're older? Will you be at peace, surrounded by love and connection, or will you be left with regrets, wishing you'd made different choices? Aging isn't just about how many years we have left. It's about how we live the moments we still have. In this video, I'm going to share 7 powerful lessons I learned from spending time in a nursing home. Lessons that are changing how I see life, and lessons that could change how you approach your future. From loneliness to the value of health, from the power of forgiveness to understanding what truly brings happiness. These insights are not just for the elderly, but for anyone, no matter their age. If you're wondering why you should watch until the end, here's why. These lessons aren't just reflections from old age. They are insights that can help you live a fuller, richer life today. Whether you're young or entering your later years, these lessons will help you rethink your priorities and guide you toward a life filled with meaning and joy. In the end, you'll see that life isn't measured by the years, but by the moments we cherish. Stay with me, and let's explore these transformative lessons together. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Aging is not about how many years you have left. It's about how you choose to spend the ones you still have. Time is an extraordinary thing. It passes relentlessly, sometimes unnoticed, sometimes painfully slow, but always moving forward. I once thought that growing old was about losing youth and vitality, but I saw something much deeper in the faces of those who had lived long lives, often far longer than they ever expected. I witnessed loneliness so profound, it left an ache in the chest. I saw the weight of regrets that can never be undone, those silent battles that no one can truly understand unless they've lived them. But amidst all this, something else became clear. I saw wisdom that only time can give, gratitude for the little things, and love, pure, selfless love that had survived the test of time. And through it all, I learned 7 lessons that changed the way I view life. Lessons that I will carry with me, no matter how much time I have left. No matter how young you feel right now, one day, you will be old too. Time doesn't care about our age, our dreams, or our plans. It keeps moving, relentlessly pushing us forward. And when that day comes, when we all face the reality of old age, what will we see when we look back? Will we have lived a life that fills us with peace, or will we be left with a mountain of regrets, wishing we had made different choices? These are the kinds of thoughts I had while sitting inside a nursing home, listening to the stories of those who had already traveled further down this path. Some of the lessons I learned were heartbreaking, others were enlightening, but every single one of them was necessary for me to truly understand what matters in life. Because in the end, life is not measured by the number of years we accumulate. It is measured in moments. The moments we cherish, the moments we share, and the moments we can never get back. The first lesson I learned, and perhaps the hardest to accept, is one that I had never truly considered before. Loneliness is the greatest disease. When people imagine a nursing home, they often think of it as a place where elderly people are cared for, fed, medicated, kept safe. But what I came to realize is that the most painful struggle, the most insidious ailment, is not physical at all. It's emotional. It's the crushing, soul-deep loneliness that so many elderly face. There were people in that nursing home who hadn't received a single visitor in months. Some hadn't seen their children or grandchildren in years. Their family members were busy, too caught up in their own lives to make the time for them. Their friends had long since passed away, leaving behind empty spaces where conversations used to thrive. They sat in silence, staring out of windows, waiting, hoping for someone to remember them. One elderly man, in his late 80s, told me something that still haunts me to this day. He said, "I spent my whole life building a business, making money, securing my future. But I never built a family. Now I have everything I worked for, but there is no one left to share it with. That was the moment I truly understood something I had never really thought about. The hardest part of growing old is not losing your strength or your looks. It's not about the wrinkles or the aches in your joints. It's realizing that, at the end of it all, you've been left behind. I saw a woman who spent her days sitting by the window, watching the road outside. She was waiting for someone, anyone, to visit her. Rain or shine, she sat there, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed on the street as if willing someone to walk up the path. She told me, "I keep hoping that one day my son will visit. But he has his own family now. He's busy. Maybe next week, maybe next month." She smiled softly as she spoke, but her voice had a tremor in it, as if she was trying to convince herself more than me. In that moment, I realized that sometimes the worst pain isn't being forgotten. It's knowing that you still remember, even when no one remembers you. Loneliness, I learned, is the heaviest burden in old age. It doesn't matter how much money or comfort you have. Nothing can replace the warmth of human connection. If I could go back in time, I would have spent less of my energy chasing after success and more on nurturing the relationships that truly matter. I would have called my loved ones more often. I would have made more time for the people who loved me, instead of always making excuses. Because in the end, when everything else is gone, the wealth, the career, the accomplishments, all that remains is the love we gave and the love we received. If there is someone in your life you haven't spoken to in a while, someone you've been putting off reaching out to, do it now. Life has a way of slipping away, and one day you may find yourself sitting in a quiet room, waiting for someone to do the same for you. Lesson 2. Health is more valuable than wealth. In that nursing home, I met a man who had once had everything. He had built a successful business, owned multiple properties, traveled the world. He had what many of us dream of. But now, in his old age, his wealth meant nothing. His body had betrayed him. He couldn't walk without assistance. He couldn't even feed himself. He spent his days in a wheelchair, unable to enjoy the life he had worked so hard to build. One day, he told me something that struck me to the core. "I spent my whole life chasing money, thinking it would give me freedom. But what is freedom if you don't have the strength to enjoy it?" That statement stayed with me as I watched him struggle. We all chase after things in life. Money, success, achievements. But in the end, what good is any of it if our bodies aren't well enough to enjoy it? How much of our lives do we spend focused on what doesn't truly matter, while neglecting the very thing that sustains us, our health? I took a long, hard look around, and I couldn't help but notice how the same story seemed to repeat itself over and over again, albeit in different variations. People who had once been the epitome of strength, resilience, and independence were now, in their later years, relying on others for even the simplest of tasks. They had dedicated their youth to long, exhausting hours of work, often sacrificing sleep, ignoring their health, and pouring every ounce of their energy into the belief that one day, once the work was done, they would finally have the freedom to enjoy life, to savor those precious moments. But that day, unfortunately, never came. Despite accumulating wealth and financial stability, they found themselves in a place where money could no longer buy them the one thing they truly needed: the ability to live fully, to enjoy the simple pleasures of walking, breathing, and experiencing life without pain. The realization hit me hard, and with it, the heavy weight of regret. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. If I could turn back time, oh, how different things would be. I would prioritize my health from the very beginning. I would exercise more, nourish my body with healthier food, and focus on mental peace instead of stress. I wouldn't wait until my body began to break down to recognize its value. Because, as painful as it is to admit, no amount of wealth, no amount of success, can restore the vitality and strength that fades with age. Health is the one thing that money cannot buy back. No luxury can replace the ability to breathe freely, to walk without discomfort, to wake up each morning feeling energized rather than exhausted. These realizations come too late for many, and they are painful to face. I met so many people who, in the twilight of their lives, wished they could have just one more year of good health. One more year to do the things they had pushed aside, thinking they had all the time in the world. They wished they had taken better care of their bodies, cherished their youth while they still had it. They regretted taking their health for granted, believing that they could always get to it later. But time, once lost, is never found again. Now, as I reflect on my own life, I truly understand. Success, yes, it's important. Money does provide comfort. But none of that matters in the end if you don't have your health. Without health, the very foundation of your life crumbles. The things you thought mattered become irrelevant. Don't wait until you lose something to realize its value. Don't wait until it's too late to start taking care of yourself. Start now, today, while you still can. Nurture your body. Give it the care it deserves, because one day you might wake up and realize that the greatest wealth you ever had was your health. That's when you'll truly understand that the most precious thing you could have ever had was the ability to live pain-free, to move with ease, and to breathe deeply without effort. Then there's the lesson I learned about material things. I spent years, decades, even, believing that success was measured by what I owned. A bigger house, a more expensive car, the latest gadgets, designer clothes. I thought that these were the markers of a life well lived. I thought they would bring me happiness, fulfillment, peace. I was wrong. So wrong. It wasn't until I found myself in the nursing home, surrounded by people who had lost everything they had worked so hard for, that I truly understood. In that place, no one cared about the brands they wore or the houses they had owned. No one talked about the cars they once drove or the fancy furniture that filled their homes. The only things that mattered were the memories they held close and the people they had shared those memories with. I met a man who, at one point, had owned a mansion. Now, he lived in a small room with the bare essentials: a single chair, a bed, a few framed photos. When I asked him if he missed his old home, he shook his head, his eyes filled with a quiet peace. I spent my whole life filling my house with things, he said, but in the end, I realized that the only things that truly mattered were the moments I spent with the people I loved. His words hit me like a ton of bricks. They changed me. They shifted something deep inside. I thought about everything I had worked so hard for, everything I had accumulated, and realized that one day, none of it would matter. The possessions, the wealth, the things I once believed defined me, all of it would fade away. What would remain were the memories, and what I had done with my time. In that nursing home, I saw people who had lost it all, except their memories. Some were at peace, content in the knowledge that they had lived lives full of love and connection. Others were consumed with regret, wishing they had spent more time with their families, more time cherishing the relationships that truly mattered, instead of chasing after material wealth that, in the end, could never bring them happiness. If I could go back, I would do it all differently. I would spend less time collecting objects and more time creating meaningful experiences. I would focus less on acquiring things and more on making memories with the people I care about. Because in the end, no one will remember the possessions you had. They'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember the love you gave, the kindness you showed, and the moments you shared. Those are the things that endure. Everything else is just temporary. And when the final day comes, you won't wish for more things. You'll wish for more time, more laughter, more love. But by then, the only thing that will matter will be your memories. The last lesson I've learned is about independence, a gift I took for granted for so many years. I never truly understood the value of being independent, of being able to make my own decisions, move freely, and live life without relying on others. It wasn't until I stepped into the nursing home and saw the painful reality of those who had once been fiercely independent, only to find themselves unable to do even the most basic things on their own, that I realized just how precious this gift truly is. It's a lesson I wish I had understood earlier, before it was too late. Independence, the ability to live life on your terms, is something that can be taken from you in the blink of an eye. And when that happens, the world can seem like a much colder, lonelier place. There was one woman, once a passionate teacher, who had dedicated her life to inspiring young minds. She had stood in front of a classroom, guiding eager students with all the wisdom she could offer, filling their hearts with knowledge and curiosity. But now, in the twilight of her life, she could barely muster the strength to lift herself from her bed. She looked at me with eyes that carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken words, and in a quiet, steady voice she told me, "I used to stand in front of a classroom, guiding young minds, but now, I need help just to use the bathroom." Her words hung in the air, as if she had just revealed a part of herself that no one could fully understand. Though her voice remained calm, I could hear the profound sadness beneath, the sorrow that echoed in the silence between us. The grief of a life once filled with purpose now reduced to moments of dependence. There was also a man who had once traveled the world, experiencing the vast beauty and wonder of life in places many could only dream of visiting. He had been strong, independent, and full of vitality. But now, he was no longer able to even feed himself without the help of a nurse. "I never thought about what it meant to lift a spoon to my mouth until the day I could no longer do it myself," he shared with me, his voice full of quiet reflection. There was a depth in his words, a deep realization that we often take the simplest of abilities for granted until we no longer have them. As I listened to their stories, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming wave of compassion mixed with a deep sense of shame. These people, once so vibrant and full of life, now longed for the most basic freedoms we often overlook. The ability to walk outside on a warm day, the joy of preparing a meal with your own hands, the simple dignity of dressing yourself without help. How many times had I taken those very things for granted? How many times had I complained about trivial inconveniences while these incredible souls had lost so much more? This was a powerful moment for me. It made me realize something that had never truly sunk in before. The simple, everyday freedoms we enjoy, being able to stand, walk, eat, or dress ourselves, are not to be taken lightly. These are precious gifts. If you are blessed with the ability to move freely, to care for your own body, to make your own decisions, please do not let it slip by unnoticed. Cherish these moments, because one day, perhaps when you least expect it, you might wake up to find that those small freedoms, those things you never thought twice about, are no longer within your grasp. Independence is something we often fail to truly value until it is lost. We get caught up in the hustle of daily life, chasing bigger goals, accumulating more possessions, always striving for more. But the painful truth is, we often only understand the true worth of our independence when it's slipping away from us. So, take care of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Live fully and without regret while you still can. Don't wait until you're too late to realize that independence is one of the greatest gifts you'll ever have. Once it's gone, no amount of wealth or regret can bring it back. The lesson here is clear. True happiness is found in the small, everyday things. I used to believe that happiness was something to be chased. It was tied to success, to accomplishments, to the bigger house, the fancier car, the perfect job. I thought that once I reached these milestones, I would finally be happy. But then, inside the walls of a nursing home, I met a woman who would change everything I believed about happiness. She was 85 years old, frail in body but radiant in spirit, and no matter the chaos or sadness around her, she always wore a smile. I couldn't help but wonder what her secret was. One day, I asked her, "What is your secret to staying so happy?" She looked at me with a warm, gentle smile and replied, "I don't think about what I have lost. I enjoy what I still have." Her words struck me deeply, resonating in a way I could not have anticipated. In that moment, I realized that true happiness had never been about acquiring more, about reaching some far-off goal. It was about appreciating the little things, the warmth of a cup of tea in the morning, the joy of a good conversation, the peaceful feeling of sunlight on your face. I looked around the nursing home, where so many had lost so much. Their youth, their strength, their independence, and for many, their homes. Yet, it was those who could still find joy in the smallest of things who seemed to be the happiest. They found beauty in the quiet moments, in the things most of us overlook in our quest for more. They were not focused on what was missing, they were grateful for what remained. And in that simple shift of perspective, they found peace. I've learned so much from those who have lived much longer than I. If I could go back, I would stop waiting for happiness to come in the future. I would appreciate the present more, savoring the small, beautiful moments that make life meaningful. I would no longer wait for tomorrow to feel joy. Because in the end, happiness was never in the big things. It was always in the little things. In the nursing home, I met people who carried burdens far heavier than any physical ailment. It was not illness or weakness that burdened them the most. It was regret. Regret for things left unsaid, for opportunities missed, for moments they would never get back. But the heaviest burden of all was carried by those who had spent decades holding on to anger. One woman in her late 70s told me a story I will never forget. She had been estranged from her sister for over 20 years. It all began with a small disagreement, something neither of them could even fully remember. But the years passed, and neither reached out to reconcile. And then, one day, her sister passed away, and she was left with the crushing weight of regret. "I always thought we had more time," she said, her voice cracking with emotion. "I thought one day we would fix things. But that day never came. My sister passed away last year, and now I will never get the chance to say I'm sorry." Her voice trembled as she spoke, and I saw the raw pain in her eyes. She had carried that guilt for so long, and now, all she had left were memories of a broken relationship that could never be mended. It made me realize how precious time truly is. We never know how much we have left, and we can never take back the things we left unsaid. Forgiveness is not just a gift to others, it is a gift we give ourselves. It is the path to peace, the way to release the anger and regrets that weigh us down. That moment, one I can still feel in the pit of my stomach, made me realize something profound. The people who truly suffered the most were not always the ones who had been wronged. No, it was the ones who had refused to forgive, those who held onto their grudges and let bitterness take root in their hearts. Holding onto anger doesn't hurt the person who wronged you. It only poisons the one who carries it. It eats away at your soul, slowly corroding your peace, your joy, and your very ability to live in the moment. And as I reflected on this truth, I couldn't help but think of the grudges I had carried in my own life, the unresolved pain I clung to. There were times I allowed my pride to block the path to peace, times when I refused to forgive, even when I knew it was the only thing that could set me free. And in that moment, it all seemed so trivial, so utterly meaningless. My anger, my pride, the wounds I had held onto. None of it mattered when placed against the weight of a lifetime spent in regret. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I realized that the most foolish thing of all was letting anger consume my energy when I could be embracing peace instead. That day, I made a decision. I forgave, not because they deserved it, but because I deserved peace. I deserved freedom from the chains that anger had wrapped around me. And oh, how it felt! So light, so liberating. It was as if I had been carrying stones in my heart for years, stones I had no idea weighed me down so much. And finally, I had set them down. I wish everyone could experience that release, that weightlessness that comes from finally letting go. It's the most beautiful gift we can give ourselves. If there's someone in your life you need to forgive, do it now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for some perfect moment. Because time does not wait for anyone. It slips away from us, like sand through our fingers, and before we know it, the chance to make things right is gone. At the end of our lives, what we'll remember is not our pride, but the peace we allowed ourselves to have. When the final chapter of our life comes, you don't want your last thought to be, "I wish I had let go sooner." Don't let that be your regret. Lesson 7 I learned is this: every day is a gift, and I would be a fool to waste it. One morning, while in the nursing home, I woke up to hear that a resident had passed away in his sleep the night before. It struck me deeply because just hours before, he had been laughing with us at dinner, sharing stories about his childhood as though he had all the time in the world. But just like that, he was gone. Life doesn't give us a warning. That moment completely shifted something inside of me. We go through our lives assuming that we have all the time in the world, putting off the things that matter, telling ourselves that one day we'll do the things we dream about, take that trip, say those words we've been meaning to say, live the life we've always longed to live. But here's the hard truth. One day never comes. I met so many people who spent their entire lives waiting for the perfect time. They worked hard, they saved, they planned for the future. And yet, by the time they were finally ready to live, it was too late. Their bodies had weakened, their health had faded, and the opportunities they once had slipped through their fingers. It wasn't the things they had done that they regretted, but the things they hadn't, the trips they never took, the words they never said, the chances they never seized. There was one man in his 90s, sitting by the window, gazing out at the world that was still moving while his body grew frail. He told me, with tears in his eyes, "I thought I had more time, but now all I have left are memories of what I should have done." His words haunted me. They stayed with me, because the painful truth is that none of us knows how much time we have left. We live as if there will always be another day, another chance, but life is fragile, and tomorrow is never promised. I thought back on all the times I had put off happiness, all the moments I had taken for granted, and I made a promise to myself. I would stop waiting. I would stop living like life was something that would begin later. Later doesn't exist. If you love someone, tell them. If you have a dream, go after it now. Don't wait for some magical moment when everything falls into place. If there's something you've been meaning to do it now. Life is too short to waste on anger, on fear, on things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. When the final moment arrives, the only thing that will matter is how fully you lived. And when you look back, will you be able to say you lived with no regrets? Will you be able to say you spent your time in the way that truly nourished your soul? Because, my friends, one day the sun will rise, but you won't be here to see it. The voices of those you love will continue to speak, but you won't be there to hear them. And when that silence falls, the only thing that will remain is the life you chose to live. Life is measured in moments. I only spent 2 months in that nursing home, but those 2 months changed me in ways I could never have imagined. I used to think that aging was about how many years you had left, about counting the time you had left on this earth. But I was wrong. Aging isn't about counting years. It's about how you choose to spend the ones you still have. Don't waste them. Don't let them slip away without fully living them. Life is precious, and every moment is a gift. Let's start treating it like one. As we come to the end of this journey together, I hope you've gained something valuable today. We've learned that life is fragile, time is limited, and the most precious thing we can do is live fully, with intention and purpose. Whether it's letting go of anger, embracing forgiveness, or choosing to live in the present rather than waiting for the perfect moment, these are lessons that can transform our lives. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What has resonated with you the most? What's one thing you've learned today that you're going to put into practice in your own life? Please, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your reflections and experiences. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep bringing content that can inspire and uplift. Until next time, remember that every day is a gift. Make the most of it.